right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. Okay, so I am going to be recording the session, so just so you know, it will be recorded so I can share back with the community. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jay Taylor. I'm the founder of MentorMesh.io. We are a tech mentorship community. We support each other. We help each other level up. It's really important to get mentorship and support from a community if you want to up-level your career, especially if speed matters to you at all, and endurance. Having a community definitely helps you do that. So I don't have a bachelor's degree, but I've been in tech for almost 20 years now, and I've worked for companies like Microsoft and Salesforce, Twitter and Peloton, and I love to share my story and help encourage people to do good work too. Try to give tips, give tricks, tell you how to get into the side door, not just the front door. Most people, when they look for getting a job, they're going through the front door. Nowadays, that front door can be kind of crowded. So to me, kind of emphasizes even more the need to understand other ways to promote and enter the tech industry. So if you're not a part of MentorMesh, MentorMesh is a free community, so I would encourage you to join at mentormesh.io. All of our events are there, so if you want to make sure you never miss an event, that's where all of them are going to be housed. We are on LinkedIn, and we are on LinkedIn, and we're also on Twitter, and we're also on the Circle platform. So go to mentormesh.io, and you can see the full event list. All right, and I'd also like to kind of invite people to come to the town hall that'll be on Saturday. So we're going to be meeting with the community, with alumni. We're going to talk about new cool things that are happening with the MentorMesh community. And we'll also be talking about an upcoming tech mentorship conference, our first one, in-person conference called MentorMesh Experience. So definitely want to invite you to come to the town hall on the 25th at 9 a.m. PST and learn some more details about the conference and other stuff that's happening at MentorMesh. All right, so this is a kickoff meeting for a new series that we're doing for the next 100 days. It's called Experience Over Theory. And really what that comes from is a lot of times when you're studying and you're looking to level up your career, you are told to study, you're told to get credentials, you're told to get certifications. And all of that is great. But especially in the modern business world, experience matters a lot. And this is where mentorship comes in. So theory is great, reading books is great, but ultimately you have to get the experience. So Experience Over Theory is the title of this special series. So for the next 100 days, for at least 5 days every week, we're going to be streaming mentorship sessions, having you meet people across the industry, come ask your questions, come to the AMA that we have every week, and learn something. And a part of that, we're doing an MMX 100 challenge. So MMX is short for MentorMesh Experience. And for the next 100 days, as kind of a motivation for you to post online, if you hear something in one of these sessions that resonates with you, you like what you're hearing, post about it, share it. That's a form of mentorship. All right, and I'm going to talk about why, because this is something I think a lot of people struggle with, and many more people don't even realize is a thing. But building an online reputation is so critical if you want job opportunities to find you. And that's actually today's topic that I want to kind of kick off this LinkedIn session, is talking about building in public. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it, the benefits, and then I'm going to give you 10 steps to how to do this. For many of you, this is not going to be brand new information, but who knows? Maybe the way I say it this time might trigger you to think a little differently about it. All right, so we're going to go over what it means to build in public, why it's a good idea, why you should do it. All right. And then we'll probably do that. Maybe give me about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. We'll talk about it. And then I would love to invite anybody that would like to come on stage, and let's have a conversation about it. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it, what your experience, if you've done it before, and some of you definitely have. So I'd love to hear your experience because this will definitely be shared so other people can hear it too. Okay, so first off, when people ask me about transitioning or promoting in tech or trying to transition into the industry, to me, there are two things that you should do. And again, like this is kind of simplifying what I feel are the most important things that you should do. So number one is building reputation. And that's simply because the more people that know you, the more people that trust you, the more opportunities you're naturally going to get exposed to. And a lot of people forget this step, but this is, in my opinion, the most important thing you can do. Because if you're building reputation and people trust that you are a learner, that you are a doer, they will hire you, even if you have no experience. That's just real life. You hire people that you trust that will do a good job based on what you know about their work ethic, their personality, maybe their history. You hire them. So building reputation is one of the most important things, arguably the most important thing you can do when you're trying to transition careers. The second most important thing you can do is hire yourself. Go be an entrepreneur and go do the work yourself. You don't have to be hired in order to get experience. And a lot of times when you look at even entry-level positions in tech, you'll see that they will still require 1 to 2 years of experience, which is kind of ironic because it's supposed to be entry level, but that's just real talk. They'll still ask for it anyway. So those are the two things: build reputation plus hire yourself. But when you add those things together, what you get is build in public, where you're basically doing both of those things. 2 birds, 1 stone. And that's why building in public, also paired with learning in public, together can be absolutely a game changer for your career. But a lot of people don't do this, and that's actually another reason why it's such a game changer. If everybody was doing it, it would be different, but everybody is not doing it. Most people study in the corner by themselves in the dark and then apply online. They throw their resume out into 500 bottomless pits, get auto-rejected, and then assume that they're not good enough, when in reality, nobody even saw your resume. All right, so I'm going to list 10 things to help kind of describe the how you do this. Actually, let me back up here. Let's talk about the benefits real quick, because I mentioned it a little bit, but I think it's important to kind of reiterate why. So the benefits of building reputation and hiring yourself together, building in public, learning in public, doing that. You got to remember that platforms like LinkedIn and Twitter, they are full of hiring managers and recruiters that are looking for good talent. As much as you want to transition, hiring managers want to find you and hire you. That's the truth. Every hiring manager has difficulty finding good talent. Of course, there's a million people out there that want a job. But as a hiring manager, I want to find good talent, right? And that is not the same. So how do you find good talent? Well, one of the biggest tools that are used to do that now is LinkedIn. That is the purpose of LinkedIn as a platform, is to connect hiring managers and talent. So imagine there was like this mall you could go to. I'm going to say mall or restaurant. And you knew that that's where all the hiring managers were. And you knew that all of them were looking to hire someone. And anyone could walk into this restaurant or mall. You could just walk in. Wouldn't you go like hang out there? You know, because just incidental contact and just talking with people, getting to know people, you know that there are hiring managers all over this venue. Wouldn't you go there? Wouldn't you hang out there? Wouldn't you talk to people that are trying to hire, ask them, build relationships? Wouldn't you do that? But that's exactly what LinkedIn is. LinkedIn is where all the hiring managers and recruiters hang out. So if you come to LinkedIn, but you don't ever say anything, then it's just as the same as you not being there, right? They can't see you. They can't find you. They don't know that you're looking for a job, right? So the way you utilize LinkedIn can have a profound impact on your discoverability. Hiring managers are looking for you. But if you don't say anything, if you don't post anything, if you don't interact on the platform, they don't even know that you're there, because there's almost 1 billion profiles on LinkedIn. The reason you show up is because you want those opportunities to find you. So that's why we do it. That's why it's important. And obviously the benefits come. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that means too. And what's interesting about all this too is that as much as I've been saying this, and as much as I tell the stories and we share stories, this is still very, very difficult for people. Now, to me, that means there's an opportunity. That means if you can overcome that discomfort, you are going to be part of a very small group of people that always go in the side door, that are always in demand and always being sought after on LinkedIn, because most people will not do it. So your first hurdle is going to be having to get past your self-doubt and not worry so much about what you look like, whether or not you sound professional enough. That's a big one. One of the illustrations that I like to use, it's like working out. Some people feel like before they can touch any weights and start working out, you need to learn the perfect way to do, a bench press. You have to learn the perfect way to do squats. When the reality is, you don't. You just need to be regular. Just go to the gym 3 days a week and do anything. It doesn't even matter what you do. You can walk. If you want to do the Stairmaster, if you want to run, if you want to lift weights, it doesn't matter. What matters the most at first is that you are regular. That's what matters the most. Consistency matters the most. Because even if you go to the gym and you execute this amazing workout, but you only do it once, you're not going to see any long-term benefit at all. Or any benefit for that matter. You may see no benefit. That's just like writing the perfect post. You can write this amazing post. That doesn't mean that all of a sudden all of LinkedIn is going to know who you are. They're not. The benefits come from being consistent and regular, just like working out. The benefits don't come from having an amazing workout. The benefit comes from being regular and consistent. And then eventually, after you get the discipline down, now you can start tweaking the quality of your workout. Same thing with LinkedIn and showing up. A lot of people hesitate because they think that they have to write the perfect post. You don't. You just need to post anything. Post anything regularly. People will start to see you. You'll start to see the benefit. And then eventually, as you start to post, as you start to figure out who your target audience is, you can start to refine your posts, get better at them, engage with your audience better. But at first, it's really just about being consistent. Just like working out. Get the discipline down first. Then we'll worry about the quality, right? You just need to know enough not to hurt yourself at the gym, right? Just don't do anything that's going to hurt yourself and you're good. Outside of that, just show up. LinkedIn works the same way. So, okay, we've talked a little bit about the benefits. Obviously, this is where the cool kids hang out. You got to show up. Twitter can be used in a very similar way. A lot of tech leaders, hiring managers use Twitter the same way. So if you follow the right people, you comment on the right tweets, you comment on the right posts, that community will start to see you. Okay, so let's talk about how you can do it. So I'm going to talk about 10 different steps to help kind of frame the way you think about going about this. So the first thing you need to do, we're going to combine the idea of learning in public and building in public. Because a lot of times, let's say I tell you to go build something. You may not know how to build it. So you're going to have to learn and build at the same time. And that's not any different than what you do after you get the job. When you're working for someone, you may not know how to do what you've been asked to do. A lot of times you don't. So you have to learn how to do it, try it, test it, build it, right? So you are always learning and building. So this is no different than after you get the job that you think you want. Okay, so step number 1 is you have to join communities, right? LinkedIn is a community. Your followers are your community. Twitter is a community. Your followers are your community. MentorMesh is a community. right? So we have a community, LinkedIn, Twitter. There are other communities. You have local communities. You can go to meetup.com and find out what groups are out there. Google some different groups, affinity groups that you think you can relate to. Join those groups. You have to join communities because what you're trying to do is build reputation, and while you're doing this, you are also building your personal mentor network. You don't have to ask someone to be your mentor, but as you build relationships with people, mentorship happens. So step number 1 is you got to join communities. And if you're very serious about it, you start to understand how these different communities operate. At LinkedIn, you figure out what good posts look like. You figure out how people post on LinkedIn. You show up in the comments. A lot of people live in the comments. That's also how you build relationships is if there's other people that are posting, comment on their posts, right? Get to know the LinkedIn community. Twitter's the same thing. Twitter has a different style. Pay attention to what's happening, what people are writing, what they're commenting on. MentorMesh has a culture. MentorMesh is all about giving first. What can you do to give and help and support other people first? You don't come to MentorMesh and say, I want a job. Good for you. We all want jobs. MentorMesh is about providing mentorship first, helping people around you first. So we've got a vibe and a culture. Kind of understand, show up to events, hear the culture, right? So number 1, join communities. Number 2, and I kind of bled into this a little bit, actually meet the communities. Engage. How many communities do we know about that have 50,000 members and nobody talks? Nothing is going on, right? At MentorMesh, you might know it in our vibe, we don't really hang out on the platform so much. Most of our vibe happens in the events. You want to meet MentorMesh, you show up to an event. We got events every week. You want to know who's active, you show up to the events, right? That's where we live. So introduce yourself. Whatever, there's Discord channels and other communities like that are out there. Figure out how to interact with people in those communities. On LinkedIn, comment on other people's posts. Search for people that are in a domain you're interested in. Follow them. Comment on their posts. Engage with your community. Introduce yourself on LinkedIn. Introduce yourself on Twitter. Introduce yourself on MentorMesh. You need to become a part of the community. Find out who the community leaders are. Interact with them. Join events, right? Be a part of the community. LinkedIn, Twitter, MentorMesh, great communities. Local communities, you got to join them and be active members in them. And this is all going to kind of make sense as I kind of go through this. So number 3, help whenever you can and look for opportunities to add value to these people that you meet in the communities. What you're noticing is you're joining groups, you're meeting people, and now you're helping. Now, helping doesn't mean teaching. It can if you have a skill to share, but sometimes it could be listening. Sometimes as you're doing research and you're learning, you could be sharing. Maybe you found somebody on Twitter that posts really great content. Share that person's name because there's going to be other people in those communities that have never heard of this person, and because of you, now will follow them and then gain the benefit because you shared that name. So help whenever you can, share resources. If people want to do a mock interview, maybe volunteer to listen. You might think, well, I'm not a great interviewer, so how can I help? You have a perspective. You'd be surprised. So do mock interviews with people, do resume reviews, and give an opinion. Read it. Read the resume and give an opinion. There's nothing wrong with that because that's support and it's help and it's building and growing relationships with people in the community. Okay, so step number 4. Find people in these communities to do coffee chats with and actually physically try to meet them. Now, the reason this order matters, because imagine you tried to skip to number 4 and you just jumped in a community and said, and just started reaching out, I want to talk to you, I want to talk to you, I want to talk to you. That might work if you find the right people. But it's also possible that people are going to look at you and say, you've been in this community 5 minutes, I don't know who you are, right? But if you do this in order, you join the communities, right? Number 2, you're meeting people. You're going to the events. You're introducing yourself. Number 3, you're helping people whenever you can. Now people, when you came into the community, you didn't come asking for anything. You came giving. There is nothing more powerful than that. You come and you give. And then you start meeting people. Then you start saying, hey, I'd love to have a coffee chat. Don't just look for people that are like 10 years more senior than you, right? Peers, people that have less experience than you. Meet everyone, because this is definitely a mentor circle. Now, the first 4 steps I said here, join communities, meet communities, help the community, and then find people to have coffee chats with. We're not even talking about building in public, but yes, we are. And I'm going to show you how this connects, right? You're out here, you're a community member, you're meeting people, people know who you are. Now we're going to switch over to actually building something. But at this point in the stage, 1 through 4, you have people around you. You didn't have people before, right? You didn't have people. Now you do. This is where things start to change for you. Even if it's only a handful of people, now you have people that you didn't have before. They are also on that same journey that you're on. So the 5th thing I want you to do, number 5, is to start thinking about a problem that you want to dive into. And think about the type of role that you may want to play. So a lot of people that join MentorMesh, many of them are they want to be product managers, or they are product managers. We also have quite a few software engineers and designers that are part of the community. So what do you want to do? Now, the good news is you don't have to stay in one role forever, but you may, have a specific role that sounds interesting to you. So go ahead and start there. So think about what role you want to play. And that's number 5, really. So let's start there. Think about a role you want to play. So if you want to be in product, your next step is, number 6 would be, research that role. What does it mean to be a product manager? Because a lot of the times the reason that we're building in public is because we want to be able to speak to experience. We want to talk about what we did, what we accomplished, hopefully in the interview, right? We want to build something that feels legit so that our experience feels real, because it is real. So research the role that you think you want to play. Now, part of that research is talk to the community that you just joined. Ask them, even if they're not product managers, do they know any? Does anybody know any? And by this time, you should have been continually building reputation in the community, talking to people, supporting other people, helping other people. You continue to do that, and you'll start to build relationships. And even if they are not product managers, they might be able to introduce you to one. And when you meet and have coffee chat with that product manager, ask them, do you know anyone else that you think I should meet? That type of warm handoff is a great way to maximize the connections that you have. After you meet and you're building relationships with people and you're listening to their stories, ask them if there's anybody else that you should meet, that they could introduce you to. And if you've built a good reputation with them, you're showing up, you're consistent, you're contributing to the community, they're likely to open a door for you as well. You do this as a regular habit throughout your career, and you'd be surprised how quickly you will start to know hundreds of people. All right, so number 5 was think about a problem you want to solve, but then more specifically, what role you'd like to play. Number 6, research the role you'd like to play. Learn what it means to do that role. Marty Kagan has a book called Inspire that talks about product management. It's a great book to pick up. Learn about the different roles and what product managers do. YouTube it, right? Look on Google, see what Google says. Talk to product managers. Research what it means to do that role. Now, after you've done all this research, post about your understanding of that role in these communities and ask for feedback. Now, what you could have, a lot of people might say, well, why don't you just post, say, hey, what does a product manager do? Do you know what that looks like when you post a question like that in a community? You look lazy. You look like you're begging for someone to feed you, to like feed you the fish directly in your mouth. Like you're not willing to do any work or research yourself. You just tell me everything. Tell me. That's lazy. What you should do is do as much research as you can. Talk to people as you're building your community. Then you post, this is what my understanding of product management is. This is what I think it is. Maybe even compare it to yourself and think, this is why I think I would be a pretty good product manager. This is what I think they do. Does anybody have any thoughts about that? Or, post something like that, right? On LinkedIn, on your communities, on Twitter. Now, by describing what you think product management is, you're showing the community that you're doing your research, that you actually looked and tried to figure out what it means, right? And what'll happen potentially is that people that have that title or are related to that title will give you their opinion. They'll tell you if they agree with that or not. They're going to tell you maybe other experiences that they've had or not. Now, this is really good because hopefully if somebody's willing to stop and comment on your post, that's an opportunity for you to build another relationship and also for you to refine your understanding of what it means. A lot of people talk about careers that they don't know anything about. You need to meet people in the industry. And by posting about what you think something is, it's giving yourself an opportunity to build more relationships with more people that have that role or that maybe have a different understanding than you. So now you've done this, you've posted, people are telling you, okay, this sounds kind of right, or maybe it sounds a little bit different. Ask, people, what is the day-to-day? This is what I think the day-to-day is. Post about this stuff, right? All right, so now number 7. Now we're going to go back to the problem to solve. Now we're going to go back. So now that you kind of understand what you want to do, now think of like a problem that you would like to solve. Now this doesn't have to be super complicated. It doesn't have to be, the next Tesla. Think about a problem maybe that you've experienced, you've got personal perspective on, that you'd like to solve. And even break that problem up into a couple of different areas, because maybe you can't really solve the whole thing. But maybe there's a small part of it that you're interested in. And maybe you have no idea how to solve it, but you just know it's something that if someone could solve it, you think it would be very valuable and impactful to a lot of people. So once you've figured out your problem that you want to solve and the role that you'd like to play, you put that stuff together, and for step number 8, you research. Again, now, especially for those that are looking to be in product, your job as a product manager is to have perspective. Your job is to have an opinion. Now, you can't get that by learning the fundamentals of product management. You need to dive into the domain. You need to dive into the problem. You need to ask people their opinions about this problem, not because you're going to do what they ask, but because you need to gain perspective, especially if it's a problem that a lot of people face. Talk to a lot of people. Gain perspective. Do research, right? Do research. Google things. Find articles. Find books. Talk to people. Talk to other product managers about the topic. Talk to software engineers about the topic. Do your research. There's a lot of free information out there. And if you pick a domain and you dive into it, you very quickly are going to know a lot more about that domain than the average person. Now, what's really powerful is if you pick a role and you pick a domain that you really enjoy, and even think about where you would like to work or potentially be noticed by. Because as you're doing this research, you're posting about it. You're not teaching the world, you are sharing things that you're learning. As you're reading articles, as you're doing your research, you are sharing this. And as a product manager, you might decide to identify, create problem statements, write a strategic doc, right? Write the problem statement, identify your customers and your personas based on all your research with links and references to things that you've researched, and create that doc and then share it and see what the community has to say about it. That's what product does, right? A big part of product management is about clearly communicating why something is a good idea, all the research that you've done, coming up with potential solutions and features, sharing that with other stakeholders so that they can decide to come with you on that journey. How do you articulate that? It's okay. Don't worry if the doc is perfect. It doesn't matter. Because if people are engaged, your community is engaged, and they care about what you're doing, they're going to give you feedback. And then you're going to iterate on that document. You're going to get better. They're going to ask you questions that you don't have answers to. Now you have something to research. So keep adding to the document, keep researching it, Invite criticism, because you want people to come in and poke holes in your idea so you can go make sure that you've done all your research and think about how you might want to address some of those concerns, understanding that you can't solve for everything. So you do your research and you're posting, you're sharing, you're asking for feedback. And that's number 9. As you are posting and creating and learning, you are asking for feedback. So number 9 is as you're posting these things, as you're putting them in the community, you are actively asking for feedback. Now, one of the powerful things about asking feedback is, again, especially if you're doing something like this on LinkedIn, you're going to get feedback. People have opinions. Product people especially have opinions, right? Now, as a product person, you might say, well, I don't want to be an engineer and I don't have engineering skills. You could say that. And that may be true, but there's so much you can do before you build any piece of code. Okay. So a lot of those steps that product does, you can do. But as you're building community, hopefully you've also met, and you should be purposely looking for software engineers that are also potentially junior, looking for opportunities as well. Because you can partner, you can team up, you can maybe try something together, right? All right, so let's see. Looking for my number 10 here. I think 9 and 10 actually blended together, so forgive me. Maybe there's only 9. So take what I say and even think of it from a software engineering perspective, right? So let's say you want to be a software engineer, right? Its product is not your jam. Then at that point, think about, and as you're talking and you're building relationship with other software engineers, other designers, they're going to give you perspectives on what's important for your field, right? And part of what you need to do is obviously learn the technology stacks as you're building. Because at this point, maybe your focus as a junior engineer is not so much what you're building, but making sure that you're building it right. What are those best practices? Where should you start? What are the best ways to write certain types of functions, right? A lot of that you're going to get through knowing people, practicing, trying things, sharing it, having a GitHub repository, being able to share your code and solicit feedback. All the things, same things still apply. Share your GitHub. I wish somebody, and actually that might even be a great startup idea, there needs to be a way for product managers to share their work a little bit more easier, right? Software engineers have GitHub and other kind of public repositories where they can show their code, get comments, feedback, refine it, get better, look at other people's code. I think product needs that. Maybe they have something. But that's it. You join communities. You get fully involved in those communities. You help the communities. You find people to build relationships with that will come with you on a journey and give you advice, and you help them as you can. You decide what role you want to start in, and you dive into what that role is. And then you decide what problem you'd like to solve. You research and you dive into that problem. And as you're walking through all of this, you are posting about it every day. You are sharing every day, maybe multiple times a day. And I promise you, if you do this for an extended period of time, people will know who you are. And they will start to give you feedback. And they will also care about your journey, because most people do not have the grit and consistency to do what I just described. All right. So I'm going to pause. I went on a tangent for a long time. And I firmly believe that if you do this, you are going to see results. We've got people in the audience that have seen these results. All right. So I want to welcome anybody that wants to come on stage, even just to say hi. I haven't seen some of you in a while, so it's good to see you. Davina, John Luke, good to see you. Luke, Mr. Reagan. All right, he's going to come up here. John, Catherine, Niku, Jarvis, good to see you. Josh, Joseph. Oh, I think I know everybody. Leandria. Marta, Jennifer, Mercy. Netta and Chelsea. All right. Mr. Will, how are you, sir?
What's going on, everybody? Jarvis, I haven't seen you in a long time. What's going on, brother? Josh, everybody, hi. Everything he said is true. I did all this, right? Made the post. When I got my rejection letters, I remember Jay telling me about hiring yourself. I didn't really know what that meant. And then I had a couple meetings with him, and he was like, just start building stuff. You don't have to be hired. I mean, same thing he just told you. So I literally just walked around and asked people that I was trying to be a designer, and Davina was trying to be a developer, and we grabbed a researcher, and we just kind of built a team and started just building stuff, just building websites, whatever. We all had different projects we wanted to get off the ground. So we just started building stuff. And then I posted all of this. I mean, I started posting all of this. Posted our first meeting of these very amateur or aspiring, designers, developers, researchers, and started getting reactions, and it was shocking. And people started commenting, and the more that I started learning, I just started posting all of it. I mean, I was posting books I was reading and tagging everybody in it, and having those people tag me back, and podcasts I was listening to. I mean, I was just breathing this stuff, and I was posting it. So I was almost kind of humble bragging a little bit, and kind of showing somebody that I was more than just my resume, right? Because I didn't have anything on it. So I wanted to show that, I had a drive, and I had I was striving to try to be a better designer and a better teammate. So I was posting all of this. Did everything Jay was talking about. And then that's how I started my career. IBM kind of found me, and they were like, hey, we've been following you, and what you're doing over there, we'd like you to do it over here. And so my first interview was basically like, we know who you are. We've already been reading everything you've been doing. And they just kind of wanted to figure out if I was an asshole or not, to be honest with you. Those soft skills are very important. But yes, I mean, everything he said is very much true. And I know people that has done the same thing and it has had success. But consistency, I mean, I was posting things every day. I mean, I was learning every day, so I was posting every day. And I was, again, the goal was to just try to, I didn't have much of my resumes, but I was trying to show that I was more than just my resume. And showing that I had I had what it took to want to learn. And coffee chats, I mean, once I started posting so consistently, it was easy to talk to people, because I would talk to people that would post, that would comment. So it was like my in. So that way, when I presented them with hey, can I meet you for this? Or can I talk to you about that? They were like, yeah, and I talked to a bunch of people, and asked a bunch of questions. And I never asked questions in a way it was questions to expand my knowledge. It wasn't hook me up questions, if that makes sense. Just gaining knowledge as much as I can. But that's how I was found in IBM. So, and that's how IBM found me, was literally through my posts. But I was posting every day. But like Jay said, if they're not hiring you, hire yourself. Build whatever, right? And show your consistency. Consistency. The more people start knowing who you are, you start bypassing that line. That line is long. But just want to share that. I hope that was helpful. Jay, appreciate everything you've done. Great to see everybody. If anybody needs any kind of, if anybody wants to talk some stuff out, just message me.
I love it. Thank you so much, Will. I tell you, as I've been running MentorMesh, Will has definitely been one of the great examples that I reference a lot, because he did it and he got the results. And I'm not shocked at all, because I tell you, being a hiring manager at a lot of these companies, you got to remember that we're looking for you. And I'm telling you, I've worked for some of the top companies in the world, and most people are so lazy. Even these, they're making all this money. They're just happy as can be and unreliable as can be. Finding somebody that has grit, consistency, passion, determination is rare. That's why it's easy for me to say, you know what, do this, right? Do this. And nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else is doing it. So a lot of people are thinking, they're like, well, I don't want to look silly. You got to put that aside. This is not about silly, right? This is life transforming stuff. Most people are out here making 30K, 40K a year. Tech is over here. People are making 100K, 200K, 300K. This is life transforming. So we've got to be okay with feeling silly. There's always going to be somebody that's going to look at you and, oh, that's silly. Why? Who cares? Okay, they're not paying your bills. They're not feeding your family, you know? But I'm telling you that there are very, very few people that actually do this. But if you do, you will be noticed because nobody's doing it. So for all the people that are like, I don't know what to do. I'm telling you what to do. This is what you do. And I think what happens with a lot of people is that they fall back into a very academic mindset, because most of us came through, right? Elementary school, middle school, high school. We were told to go to college. So a lot of people went to college. You're told to get an MBA. You get in this deep study mode. And again, nothing's wrong with those things. But after you're done, who knows you? What experience do you have? I know you've read a lot of books, but what have you done? That is always going to be a question, especially in the tech industry. What have you done? And it's weird to think that doing it yourself counts, but it does. It really, really does. So thank you, Will, for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also want to say, so those projects that we worked on when you were talking about hiring yourself, those are the projects that I used in my portfolio. And but the thing I had to wrap my mind around is about research, right? So research was whatever you can. There is no. I don't know how you say it. You think when you first start that there's a way, right? So you think that there's an official way to do things, and it's not, right? You're just answering questions and you're solving problems, however way you want to do that. And I used the research that was available to me, which was Google and Yelp, right? So I was able to back up my design decisions based on the research that I did. So it was difficult for me to wrap my mind around. Is this a real project or not? It's a real project if you have a problem that you're solving and you solved it and you went about and you backed up how you solved it with information that you gathered. That's what makes it real. It doesn't matter where you did it, because you're going to get problems and all types of problems of all types of all sorts. So don't consider the fact that you don't have professional experience to be something you need. You just need experience. I don't care where you did it. Just want to see that you've done it. And I'd like to see how many times you've done it, right? But don't think that you need some sort of, I don't have experience, so I need to work somewhere to get experience. You don't. Experience can be you working on the project that you're doing now. That's it. So just wanted to clarify that, because I didn't know what gathering experience was when I didn't have experience. Like, you usually think, how do I get experience if nobody's going to hire me? Well, you just start building it yourself. That's the experience. Doesn't matter where you bake the cake. They just want to see that you know how to bake a cake, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny because you think that you're going to join like some company and they're just going to like show you the quote unquote right way to do it. But once you get that job, you realize that there isn't a right way, and they're probably going to tell you to figure it out anyway. They're like, here's the work, you figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And so you lean on your team. I mean, I still lean on my team for all types of questions, even the ones that you would consider dumb. But that's literally it. Here's the problem. You're the right person. We hired you to solve the problem. They're not saying that you have the answers, but they know that you have the ability to solve it. And that's what they want to see. So
absolutely.
Appreciate you letting me come up and say something.
Love it, man. Anytime. Glad to have you here. All right. I want to leave some time for some wonderful Mentor Mesh folks that joined the stage. I don't know who was first, but let's start with Chelsea. Good to see you. Would love, I don't know if you want an intro, you got a comment, question. Love to hear from you.
Hello, everyone. I've been a part of the Mentor Mesh community, oh my goodness, almost a year now. Yes. Okay, but I actually just wanted to speak on community and how important it is to be involved. This journey is going to have its highs and lows, the ups and the downs. And it is so important to have people in your corner when you when you experience the highs and the lows, but really when you experience the lows, because you may feel like giving up or you may feel like you're not worthy. I'm so grateful to be a part of this community because I have experienced some lows in my transition into tech, and I have so much support. I've gotten so much support, understanding, words of encouragement. I know that there are people who just are willing to talk and support me, and that definitely helps on those dark days. Will, I can't thank you enough. Will is the man. There are some people in this community that just that you click with, and this community is it's a vibe, nice people, but then there are some people that you just really click with and connect. And Will is one of those people that has been there for my dark days. He kind of really knows a little bit more about my background and my situation, and has just been so supportive. Mercy as well. But really, this is just a community of great people, and I just wanted to stress the importance of being active and building those relationships in the community, because you're going to need it. You are not always going to experience highs in your journey, so it's good to have people in your corner so that you don't give up. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Chelsea. Your day is coming. I know it feels like a lot of ups and downs, but I'm telling you, you are so close. And even your downs to me feel like ups. They really are. So, I mean, Chelsea and I talk a lot too, so I'm glad you found value, but you're going to get there, and we're going to celebrate together. All right. Netta, welcome to the stage. Good to see you. Also, another longtime Mentor Mesh leader. Thank you for being here. Would love for you to introduce yourself and love to hear what you got to say too.
Thank you very much for your kind words, Jay. I appreciate it. My name is Netta. I am on my product manager journey. Currently, I work for a law firm as a digital automation specialist. Without the fancy title, I basically design on-screen guided tours for my colleagues to reduce cognitive load, increase efficiency, and adoption of those different web app tools we have at the firm. I wanted to say to everyone here that everything that Jay has said is living proof. Like it's pretty valid, and I believe more and more people should go by this method, especially in this current economic climate. Everyone's applying, but not everyone is networking and building community and showing and being a living proof of their work. I would be really curious to see the building part over the next 100 days, because that's where I'm currently at. I've reached out to Niku. He gave me some high-level ideas of how I should work for my product, but I'm going to start building it and hopefully reach out to other community members to get their insight or engagement and get support from the communities. So I just wanted to thank you, Jay, as well, for creating this platform, for bringing us all together, and I'm really excited for the 100 days of experience over theory. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Netta. Always appreciate you. All right, got a couple of hands coming up. If anybody wants to come up and just say hi, please do. Yeah, it's funny. I feel like if you really want to get to know Mentor Mesh, you got to come to the events and you got to speak, because you'll start to see like who is active and who's not. You'll start to see similar people that come up. That tells you something about them. They are actively contributing to the community, which is really, really important. Reggie, I tried to pull you up here. I'm not sure what happened. I don't know if you got to try again. Let me try one more time with you. All right. All right. So Luke, welcome to the stage, my friend. Good to see you. You want to do a quick intro? Would love to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, of course, Jay. So hello, everyone. My name is Luke Brown, currently a product manager at the Home Depot. I've been doing product management for a few years now. And while my path isn't exactly how Jay described with building in public, I most definitely implemented a lot of those steps with regards to my journey, especially as it relates to building relationships. I believe that was fundamental in getting me to where I'm at today. While I definitely did have to put in that work, you do have to foster relationships, not only to grow, but to Chelsea's point, to help support you, because this is a marathon. It is not a sprint. You will definitely have to fight against yourself, among other things, in order to push through. And even once you get there, you're still having to Jay's point, you have to figure things out and solve problems. And that's not always going to be easy. So it's important to have community, not only to build yourself up, but to keep yourself where you're at.
Yeah, that's a great point, Luke. Yeah, thank you for bringing that out. Reggie, welcome to the stage, my friend. You want to intro yourself, and would love to hear your thoughts. You have to unmute. Hopefully, that's the only issue. Sometimes LinkedIn gets kind of weird. But if you want to unmute and intro yourself, that would be great. I had some issues with the desktop earlier, which is why we started a few minutes late. So I don't know. I still haven't quite figured that out. I can only get this to work on my phone. All right. Okay. Let's see, because we're almost at time here. I'm going to get John come up here, and he'll probably be our last speaker. Let's see if this will work. John, good to see you, my friend. You want to intro yourself, and would love to hear what your comment or question is for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you having me up. What's up, folks? I see familiar faces below and next to me. Yeah, so I'm a front-end web developer mainly. But, you know, I don't want to keep regurgitating what everyone's saying, but I'm kind of in the middle of that process that Jay has been talking about, and I'm starting to see the effects. And one thing I just definitely want to reiterate or iterate is the beginning. You're not going to see the results when you start this, you know, and that's very discouraging, but you just got to keep with it, and you'll see it just start to climb. And so, yeah, I mean, I got some HashNet articles going, and I did some YouTube videos last year, but I need to get back into it now that I have a lot of content to kind of talk about, and it's all ready to go as far as repurposing goes. So things are looking good there, and these spaces and audio have been great.
Hey, Jay, one more thing. Hello?
I think the end of that was kind of breaking up a little bit.
Oh, is it okay if I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead, Will.
Hey, I just want to let everybody know, no's are very common. We all get no's. We get multiple no's. That should not stop you from pursuing whatever it is that you're trying to pursue. Do not let a couple of no's throw you off your game. everybody up here has had multiple no's and multiple letters. Do not let that stop you. It's very common. Everybody goes through it. Everybody has multiple no's. It's actually uncommon to just go actually apply for something the first time and get it in the tech world. I just want everybody to know that.
Yeah, that's a super important point. Because a lot of times, too, the no's have nothing to do with you. Most of the time, I would say that, right? Sometimes it's just, maybe there was somebody with a little bit more experience and they just, had they not applied, you would have got the job. That's happened to me many times. So absolutely, you're going to get a lot of no's. And I've posted about this a few times, too. It's like I've gotten yeses from like Microsoft and Salesforce and blah, 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 right? But I've also been rejected by Google and Amazon and Meta and Indeed. And, it's not about, that's part of the journey, right? But the important part is to not internalize that and make big decisions and rash judgments like you're not good enough because you failed one interview. That every interview has a different set of people that you're interviewing with, a different team that are looking for different things, different skills. So you just might need to interview with a different team. But yeah, super important point. All right, Reggie, let's see if your mic works. Reggie, are you able to introduce yourself and unmic?
Yes, we'll try this maybe the third time.
Good to see you, my friend. You want to intro yourself?
Likewise. Good evening, everyone. My name is Reggie. I am currently a sales rep for a diagnostics company looking to transition into tech. I just kind of want to echo something Will said and then post a question for Mr. Will. And that is, you talked about no's, and one of the things I kind of live by is that no today does not mean no tomorrow. So stick with it and persevere and just press your way through, because just because you get it a no today doesn't mean you'll get it that same no tomorrow. And then the question I have for you, Will, is you talked about building some of the things and how that attracted people to you. So in your interview, what's something that really stood out that you worked on when you interviewed with IBM?
The one thing that I know that they were really impressed by was the fact that I was able to talk cross-functionally, right? So I collaborated with a developer, I collaborated with a researcher. That was something that was an important part of being a designer, because you're going to have to collaborate across products a lot. And having that soft skills are super important. I would say they're more important than actually having the hard skills, but that was something that they were very impressed by. The fact that and also that I had a timeline. I had a timeline showing the progression of our product and when we finished, right, or when we thought we were going to finish. That was very impressive. So it went above and beyond just having the product. I actually was able to show them that we thought about the timeline and we were working towards an end goal, right? So that was very impressive. But the cross-functional skill, be able to talk to a researcher, be able to talk to a developer, a content designer, that was something that they loved. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you brought that out, because it's so funny. It's like people assume that the hard skills are the most important thing. And honestly, I think especially at the beginning of your journey, I don't think that's true, right? Because if I'm hiring a junior role, I'm not looking for somebody with a ton of experience. You just need to know the basics. And I have to believe that you're somebody that I should invest in. And a lot of that is soft skills. So love that you brought that out.
Yeah, absolutely. Soft skills are, we would rather work with somebody that is easy to get along with. I don't care how skilled you are. If you're an asshole, excuse my language, I'd rather not work with you regardless. I'd rather work with somebody with a good attitude that's willing to learn, even if the skill level is a little bit less than somebody that's not an asshole. But that's kind of people want to work. People have to work with you.
Right.
That's more. That supersedes, in my opinion, everything else.
Right.
Anyway, but okay.
Yeah, and if you're lacking the skill, right, then we just match you up with a senior person. We give you the mentorship, we give you the tools, the training to get better, and you'll get better, right?
Yeah.
So
and they're also more than willing to too, because they've also been there.
Right.
They've also been there, so they're more than willing to. If you have that hunger and you want to be a good teammate and a good designer, a good developer, web researcher, that's more than half the battle right there.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, Juliana, welcome to the stage. It's good to see you. You want to intro yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Juliana J. Bolden. I am a digital content strategist and also an aspiring product person in terms of making that full-time pivot. But I popped up here. Oh, and most importantly, I am a very emphatic member of the Mentor Mesh community. So I'm looking forward to seeing at least some of you in real life in the coming weeks on the ground at the conference. And I popped up today because when you guys were talking about everybody getting no's and talking about how a no today is probably not a no tomorrow, I have a real life quick story about how I was turned down for an interview that I did a month and a half ago. Those same people called me back to interview again last week for the same job because they ended up not picking who they thought they would the first time they told me no. So now I'm back interviewing for the same job.
At least they recognize their error.
I thought I would die because I'm just going to be really vulnerable here for a minute because I'm just like that. I was so crushed. I cried for like 3 days because I just knew that I had it. I was really down on myself. And, what did I do? And was I to this? And was I to that? It turned out I was just damn right. I really was. Because why would they called me back? And I'm really too old to be this hurt when somebody tells me no. But you know what? I'm still a work in progress. So what am I going to do other than just thank God I've got friends that I can be real with and continue to get better? Because I'm good at a whole lot. But what I'm not good at is rejection. I put on a good face like I am. I know how to be a leader. I'm even better follower, that sort of thing. But part of this community that we are in, for me at least, is about the reassurance that I'm more than enough, that I don't have to fake when something hurts my feelings. I just don't need to freak out and, in front of the people that I'm interviewing with or that sort of thing. I'll just save that for my one-on-ones with Jay. And other than that, I can perhaps encourage the rest of you who haven't even done some of the things that I've done yet to just stick to it. Really, I'm a living testimony. Somebody told me no less than 2 months ago for something I really wanted, and then they called me back. It's almost kind of like, a guy that you're interested in, like not paying attention to you, then all of a sudden wanting to date you, like after you've already like started going out with somebody else. I'm sorry, I know that's a podcast for another day. So back to no's. Yes, no's. I'm starting to see no's now as a maybe later. And if it really doesn't happen for you, it's something that the universe, God, whatever you want to frame it is actually keeping you on the right path. These days, no is a lot of no's these days to me are kind of like a relief because it clears the pathway for something that you might not be able to imagine is better than you could even plan for yourself. So please be encouraged. That's all. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Thank you, Juliana. And for those of you that are following the schedule, so next week, Juliana and I are going to be doing a live stream on LinkedIn. So tune into Mentor Mesh, check the schedule. You'll start to see some updates. But I love the story.
Yeah, pardon the rambling. If I didn't quite land the plane as elegantly as I tried, I'm in traffic right now. I'm actually just here to co-sign Will's No Assholes policy and say that works for all of us. Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
It's the truth. Because, you know, to be honest, what's funny about this is that I don't know who does this or where this came from. Maybe it's professors in college. I don't know who's doing this. But they have somehow convinced most people that what we do is so difficult that you have to be like the best of the best in order to be a product manager, the best of the best to be a software engineer. No, you don't. You know? You don't. I'm sorry. You don't.
Jay, you gonna make people mad at you. How dare you?
Well,
how dare this is rocket science, brain surgery, saving little children in remote parts of the world. Hard.
I know. They want us to believe that. But that's why, like, you know, you realize, like let's say you need a skill set that's a 5 out of 10. And you got all those people that are applying that are like 10 out of 10s. Okay. That's great. Obviously, a 10 out of 10 can do a 5 out of 10 job. No problem. But if all I need is 5, I'd rather pick a 5 or a 6 that has a good attitude, like what we were talking about earlier. Good to work with, you know, team player, servant leader. I'm going to find somebody with the right attitude that has the level 5 skill. I'm not going to pick the jerk that's a 10 because I don't even need a 10. I need a 5, right? So a lot of the skills, like everybody keeps talking about every job, like every job needs a skill level 10. They don't, right? There's a level of skill that you need, but you got to be teachable. You got to be investable. You got to be somebody that I'm willing to spend time with to help get better. Maybe you're a 4, but you're a phenomenal team player. And I'm like, you know what? This person is worth investing in. Let's help them become a 5. Let's help them become a 6. Let's help them grow in their career. Everybody doesn't need to be, you know, Steve Jobs. Everybody doesn't need to be Bill Gates, right? To have a good, successful career. And I think, you know, like Juliana's kind of implying, there are people out there that are gatekeeping and they want you to believe that you can't do this. I'm telling you,
because
you
it's
can.
ego.
Yep.
Ego and a sense of exclusivity makes other people take things like jobs and use them to position themselves in social settings because they want to feel better than other people. There's a sense that nobody loves feeling. There's just this sense of I have something that I want to feel like I have something that the rest of the world can't get to. There's this sense. It's almost like a celebrity complex, which is something that I have watched develop over the time that social media became part of our day-to-day. One of the things that depresses Hollywood the most is that celebrity culture is not driven by people in boardrooms anymore. It's democratized, you know, to where everybody's a dang celebrity if you have a big enough social environment. And because it's done away with the ivory tower system in such a way where you have to work harder to make your day-to-day situation, you know, exclusive and feel super important. That's why somebody like you who like busts down the gates for more people to have opportunities in great places, man, there's just some people's egos that don't want to hear you say that, Jay. And I'm not one of them, but it's kind of like everybody can make their own Hollywood. That's what the whole thing about like building in public. I love that because some of these people that are going after jobs, you keep encouraging folks to build in public. They're going to end up to go and knock on anybody else's door. They'll stumble around and create the next Google themselves, God willing.
Yeah, that's the hope. I hope that, especially with all these layoffs, that a ton of startups happen. And all of these smart people that were laid off go build some competitive products that win. And I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see that.
How can we not be on the verge of the next renaissance with all of these amazing people getting laid off? Of course, it's this whole Phoenix rising from the flames thing. We're about to see greatness beyond greatness.
Yep, I love it. Josh, welcome to the stage, my friend, longtime Mentor Mesh alumni and friend. Good to see you.
Oh, hello, hi. It's funny. I wanted to come up because when Juliana was talking about like rejection and just becoming comfortable with being told no and hearing no, I love that. And I just wanted to jump up and say you landed the hell out of that plane, in my opinion. I know you were trying to figure out if you did. I think you, oh God, it was so good. No, it is so good.
What a relief. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think it's such a like underrated point, in my opinion. Like, no one wakes up in the morning and is like, I can't wait to be rejected. Or like, man, I just hope I get rejected today. Like, no one in the history of like anything like thinks that way, right? So it's this super common fear that we all have that is so understandable, and like it's one of the most common things, right? Probably that connects us all as like human beings. None of us want to be rejected. And to your point, like there's so many things that go into a no, and a lot of the time it has absolutely nothing to do with you. And it just has to do with something else that's going on. The amount of times that I've been told no, and people have come back and been like, it wasn't a you thing. It wasn't like a you being enough thing. It was, we just found this in this other thing, right? We had this other person, and as it relates to jobs, right? Like we had this other person who was doing the job already for the last like 4 years, and they were ready, but like you blew us out of the water. Like there's so many, we hear no, and it's really easy to quickly think that it is an us lacking something thing, and the reality is that's not always true. And then it leads to this fear of like putting yourself out there, because again, you don't want to be rejected again. But man, I just, for anyone out there that's hearing no or hearing not yet, like it doesn't always mean that it's you. And Juliana, to what you said, like I'm just at this phase in my professional career where it's like, dude, if I'm not a fit, just tell me so I can move along. And I'll do the same for you. Like if I'm in an interview with you, like I'll tell you. I was interviewing with a company over the summer that had reached out to me and loved the person that I talked to in the first round, and in the second round I was like, ooh, I do not click with the guy that I'm talking with. And so, yeah, I mean, I reached back out, right, and did to them what I would hope someone did to me, and said, like, I don't think I'm going to be a good fit here. And I would also say, like, sometimes no doesn't even mean that you're not the right fit for the company. It just might mean you're not the right fit for that position at this moment. Man, I just think that's such a powerful point, Juliana, and I love that you shared that. That's literally all I came up here to do, is say, like, people need to hear that more and understand that more, that like it can be a huge blessing to get a no, like a huge blessing to get a no. So thank you for sharing that. I loved it.
Gosh, thank you. Yes, I can't believe you just made my day, and I think I love this whole direction, Jay and Will and everybody here. I really needed to hear this today because, like I told you, I'm putting on the best face that I can. I think sometimes too, depending on what else is going on in our lives, it's easier to hear no's and rejection sometimes if everything else is going right. But like if you woke up and stubbed your toe in the morning and burnt your toast, and the mailman delivered your publisher's clearinghouse check to the neighbor instead of you or something, it just, whatever is going on, so sometimes when it rains, it pours, and every little thing is hard. And then at other times, you've got like other things clicking, and it doesn't sting as much. It's just part of living and being human. And that's my favorite part of coming to events like this, is that you see you're not the only one going going through stuff. I think that's the best part.
Yeah, totally agree. Absolutely. Well, I'm so glad everybody showed up. It's good to see everybody. It makes me think we got to connect more often, because I feel like, I really enjoyed the conversation. I'm so happy to have everybody here. I recorded the session, so I will distribute it to the MentorMesh folks that want to catch it, that missed it. But I want to thank everybody for being here. For those, hopefully all of you will attend the town hall this Saturday. I want to talk more about the conference that's coming up. I want to talk about what's happening with MentorMesh. A lot of really cool stuff going on. And I'm hoping that many of you will try to attend some of these events, 5 days a week. And think about all the great conversation that we had. There's a lot of gems in there that you could post about. There are people that missed this session that needed to hear what Juliana said. They needed to hear what Will said, what Chelsea said, what Reggie said, what Josh said, what John said, right? But they're not here. And because they weren't here, they didn't get that motivation. But if you take what you heard, what maybe made you feel good, and you share that, you might encourage them, and they may come to the next session and be encouraged. This is mentorship. And I'm telling you, what's so funny about all of this is that when you become a tech mentor, you think you're going to be talking about technical things. You're not. I tell you, at least 70% of the conversations that I have with people are not even about product management or technical anything. We're talking about self-doubt. We're talking about imposter syndrome. We're talking about how to handle the no's, because that's people's problem. Your problem most of the time is not your cognitive ability. It's your will to keep going. It's you deciding whether or not this is worth it for you. You deciding whether or not if it's possible for you. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love to double down on stories. Because if you see somebody that looks like you or has a similar background as you, and you see them do it, that helps to convince you that maybe you can do it too. Because there's so many people, like we said earlier, gatekeepers. They want you to think this is too hard, that it's not possible. That's just not true. And it's not true. I was in my late 20s, mid 20s, making copies at a copy machine. I was rocking the minimum wage and paycheck to paycheck, just like everybody else, and no degree and nothing. And man, if I knew then, even earlier, what I know now, life would be different. I should have been retired like 10 years ago. But that's one of the reasons why I think this kind of stuff is important to talk about, to share. People need to hear the story so they realize that there's actually not a gate. There are people that won't let you go through their door, but there are a lot of other doors, so many other doors. Once you realize that, that's when the good stuff happens. All right. Well, thank you everybody so much for being here. This was really encouraging for me. I hope it was for you. Tomorrow, Amanda's going to be leading a session. I believe her name is Gina, talking about her transition into program management for health IT. So I think that's going to be very cool. So please come and support that. That's actually going to be at 3 p.m. PST, so a little bit earlier. And then on Friday, I'm going to talk about product strategy. When it comes to building products, how to think like a product manager, what are some of the things that you should think about when it comes to building out that strategy? And I'm going to try to do sessions at least every couple of weeks talking specifically about product strategy, because I feel like it's fundamental to leadership, regardless if you're a product manager or not. I think product skills are very, very close to just general leadership skills. The way you think and solve problems, I think everyone should be really good at. Because at the end of the day, that's what we all are, regardless of our position. It's interesting when you talk to like principal designers, principal engineers, principal product people, there's a lot of overlap. And that overlap is leadership. We're leading whatever space we're in. That's collaboration, that's leadership, that's soft skills. So a lot more sessions. And then, of course, the town hall this Saturday. And so if you learned anything, if anything was interesting to you, tweet about it, post about it, tag who said it. You're building your reputation, and you're also building theirs. So learn in public, build in public, join communities, participate in communities. Don't just come and tell us what you need. Come and support first. Come and help first. and you'd be surprised how quickly people will rally around you. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, again. And hopefully we'll see many of you in the next few days, and definitely at Town Hall. But thanks again. I hope everybody has a good night.
Awesome. Good night, Jay. Thank you.